Far right rudder there. Yep, sure. Doing all right back there? You feeling okay?
Just peachy.
Okay, good. Yep, keep coming back on that added yoke here. There's the warning horn.
Yeah, Dave,
nice and smooth, so good.
Copy.
Coming back, keep coming back. Just starting to buff it. There you go, okay, lower the nose, power. Right rudder as you add that little bit of power.
Yeah.
And recover. Hey, not bad. And you know, this is always where, like at first it's a little nerve wracking. It's like you're uncertain because you just don't know exactly what's going to happen. You're like, you're anticipating because you're like, I know something's going to happen, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you're just always a little on edge and it's uncomfortable, but man, if you can be comfortable and like, no, okay, I know the airplane's going to do this, and it's going to do it every time. Here's why it's going to do it, and as long as I don't do X, Y, or Z, like everything's going to be fine. And I'm not doing that, so I know it's going to be fine. So I know it's uncomfortable. It is for everyone. It always, you know, it was for me at the beginning for sure, but
that felt good, I thought.
Yeah, it was. It was a nice one. It was really good. I was saying it's really good if you can work through these and be like, you know, I'm comfortable because I know what this airplane is going to do.
Yeah.
So if you ever get into a bind, you know, okay, here's the limits, here's my envelope that I can maneuver in.
Right.
And then when you're on your check ride, there's no guesswork. Because if the examiner goes, hey, do an accelerated stall, it's like, I remember I did mine. I forget what check ride it was. Might have been even my commercial. And I had never done one. And I'm like,
really?
Well, let's see how this goes. And it went kind of like, it went fine, but I didn't know what to expect. And it's like,
okay.
Wow, dude, that's not a good place to be. So, okay.
I think that's Lacey Fine right there.
It sure is, yeah. That's Lacey Fine in
Lacey Fine Airport on 42 Highway. See that long grass strip? Okay, yeah. Out there.
There's about 5,000 foot of pavement in that grass area. 6,000, that's right, that's right. And then Camdenton's over that way.
Yep.
Okay, let's go ahead and start into slow flight. So just configure the airplane for slow flight as you normally would.
It's been a while since I've done this. I can't remember if you do flaps first.
Well, think about it. Could you do flaps as you are right now? Not quite. Almost, yeah. So
slow down.
We at least need to slow down enough to get us into flap range because we know as we add all that drag, we're going to bring the power back in eventually. Yeah. So you only need to reduce power enough to get you into flap speed.
Okay. So I'm in flap range.
Okay. So let's do 10 degrees at a time. Yep, sure, absolutely. Anticipating the nose to come up a little bit there. So as you add those flaps, being ready with a little nose down pressure, and now you can come back in the speed if you back in the power a little bit if you want to, because we know by the time we get to 40, we're going to be like all out just to probably stay. You know, the idea with slow flight is you want to go like stall speed. So in this case, we can say, well, when the horn comes on, like -0 plus 5 knots or so.
Okay.
So like. We'll figure out what that number is at 5,000 feet. So go ahead and keep coming in on the flaps. Once we get it set up and trimmed, then we'll kind of just ease a little bit. And when you adjust power, speed is a very slow rate of change, right? So you reduce power, it takes a little while for the airplane to equalize out. It's going to slow down, but it's just not an instantaneous thing.
Right.
So it's just making small changes to get where you want it to be.
Are we going to go full 40?
Yeah, I would say go full 40. I mean, worst case is on the check ride, he only has you say, okay, well, let's just do 30. Well, okay. You know, your flap speed or your stall speed might change a little bit, but we're going to walk through the process of figuring out what that speed is. So whatever configuration he has you in, he might have you do power off stalls with flaps up. I don't know, but we're going to walk through the process that will, regardless of the configuration, you can figure out what you need to do. So go ahead and full flaps.
Inbound to the airport.
And I don't know if you got a point or not yet, but I'd pick some sort of reference. Okay, so we're like a little more right rudder there. We're full out, but we're on 5,000 feet, so our takeoff 160 horsepower that we get at sea level is far from where we are now. We're at 50 knots or so.
2446.
52. Let's reduce about 100 RPM. See what that does for our speed.
Alright, thanks. And some of 368 back.
So calculated changes here, 100 RPM.
Yeah.
Give it a few seconds to see what happens. So we lost 2-3 knots there, 2 knots. Okay, let's drop another 100 RPM.
far, and we'll talk to you on the way out. Hey, Bravo John.
Nice job holding altitude. All right, and what's the bottom of the white arc indicating the way?
No lonely boats out there.
On the airspeed indicator here.
Stall.
And with the flaps out, right? Because it's lower than the bottom of the green arc. So go back another 100 RPM. And I bet you it'll actually probably stall a little bit even below, slower than that, but 41 I think is the published speed, but we'll see what happens. Let's come back a little bit more, another 100 RPM. So if you were doing the same thing with the flaps up, you just walk through the same process of reducing power, find out, okay, where do I start to hear the stall warning chirp? I know I'm getting close, and so we'll target that speed.
Okay.
And we're just doing that now, so we'll go another 100 RPM here. And we are losing a little altitude, so we're going to need to get some nose up trim in there, and that'll help reduce our speed some more too, so yeah, we're dropping. We want to hold plus or minus 100 feet if we can. Let's see if we can.
Okay.
Well, that's okay. Let's hold 45 knots and get our altitude back. Okay, there it is. So there's like 42 is where we're getting that. So let's stay between 45 and 50 knots. That'll give us very close.
So stay right here?
Yep, so if we want to climb, how are we going to do that?
Climb, add power.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and go full power. We're going to need it all, I bet you, to overcome this drag. But let's keep between 45 and 50 knots.
Okay.
So you're going to add full power. Right rudder, of course, is coming in. Nice job. And pitch is controlling airspeed. Power is controlling our rate of... Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So you can see we're not even able to really climb here at this point. So we'll just hold this altitude that we've got because we're right at the bottom end of our speed. We don't really want to gain slower.
Buffeting, yeah.
Though the buffeting you're feeling right now is off of most of it's from the flaps just sitting there blasting into the wind. So full power... We're so far behind the power curve, it takes full power to hold altitude.
Yeah.
Like, it's all we can do. So let's maneuver a little bit here in this kind of awkward state. Let's go ahead and make a left turn to 300 heading.
Okay.
We'll try and do our best to hold altitude. We're doing everything we can. The only thing we could do is get a little bit more out of it. It would be lean it.
Oh, lean it, yeah.
Maybe just get up at 5,000 feet. You could probably lean it a little bit, catch a little bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe 25 RPM or something. Not much. Okay, so we are able to climb just a little.
Yeah.
And roll out. Now, let's do something the other way. Let's do it backwards. I want to still keep our speed between 45 and 50, but I want to descend. So I want to go down to like 55. Let's go to 4,500 feet. So how would you initiate a descent? Yep, we said power controls that, so that's correct. So start reducing power. And how fast you go down depends on how much power you pull out. We know that we're like barely able to climb. So if you pull out 300 RPM, 300 RPM, you're going to be starting to go down.
Yeah.
All the while holding heading. So let's bring that power back. And exactly, to get our speed, if you keep the pitch attitude and reduce power, well, now we're going to stall. But let's lower the nose because we got a little buffer room there with our speed. 45 and 50 is our target. Perfect. So this is getting us, we're coming down 45 knots to 300 feet a minute. And that just shows you the relationship between pitch and airspeed, power and altitude.
Right.
So when you're coming in on your approach to final and I'm a little slow, I'm going to lower the nose. And if that then requires a bit of power, I can do that to control my rate of descent.
Yeah.
40, yep, good. Let's go down just... this is a good rate. Now, something I want to keep in mind, I don't need to come down really any faster, and here's...
traffic, left Flight Eagle 3, single 407, approximately
here's
7 miles south. The airfield transitioning northeast. We're at 2,000 feet. Sedalia traffic.
Sedalia. Are we like right over Lucy?
Yeah, it's right there. There's something but taxi back on the... But we're high enough that I'm not too concerned at this point.
Okay.
The other thing I would say is when... We're going to try and level off here at 4,500.
Okay.
lead the level off. It's easy to stop a climb. You saw that. And all we had to do was stop our little fiddly climb that we did have was just full of power and it was done. We were done climbing.
Right.
Descent, stopping the descent is a little bit more, it requires a little more forethought. Okay. So here at about 50 feet to go, let's start to come back in on the power so we don't dip below and come back up.
Okay.
So start adding your power. Lacey Fine traffic, Cessna 733 Echo Delta's overhead, 4,500, maneuvering Lacey Fine. And you can kind of just gauge how you're, yep, good. That's exactly what you want to do. And you can just wiggle it down to where you want to be.
Okay. Yeah, it's still coming down a little bit.
Yep. But if you wait till you're right on it and come back in, you're probably going to go below it. It's easier to stop a climb than it is to stop a descent.
Okay.
So let's do another left turn, 240 heading, 45 to 50 knots, 4,500.
Left turn?
Left turn, yes, sorry, left turn, 240 heading. So
240.
Yep.
Okay.
45 to 50 knots. So you could add a little bit of power and lower the nose to keep our speed in check and our altitude as well. So if you got a few extra knots you want to grab, you can. And that airport is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so doing great. You got a good hand on the airplane. So let's just take this right into a power off stall. So what I want you to do is just reduce the power nice and slow while holding 4,500 feet. And we're going to wait. We obviously got the horn. It's not going to take a whole lot.
Yeah.
And then recover will just be to lower the nose gently and add full power with right rudder. So whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and do the power off stall. Good. Lower that nose. Full power. Nice and smooth. And then start recovering with fully recovering with your flaps then too. So this would be like a go around.
Oh, okay.
Kind of the idea is the same. I mean, obviously you're not going around because you necessarily stalled, but yeah. So you want to recover completely. So
power up, pitch up, flaps up.
And get the flaps up. That's exactly right. Still doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You're a champ back there. That's good. Yep. Very nice. Now we're just going to hit this direction just for a little bit.
That's straight towards Camden.
Yep.
Yeah, I see the airport.
Yeah, we're going to head back towards the airport.
And then, Jeremiah, if you can see the couple towers over there in Osage Beach, follow the lake up a little bit, there's a couple towers.
Yep, I see them.
There's Osage Beach Airport also right there. Can you see it?
Yep.
It's sitting about like yay.
Yep, I see it.
What is it called? It's called Grand Glaze. Isn't it called Grand Glaze or something like that?
Yeah, Grand Glaze.
Island or something. That TBM, that 950, that really fancy TBM that was in the hangar.
Yeah.
It was sitting up there the one day I had the kids out and we just swung into the airport and we were eating a pizza. Just seeing if we could watch any airplanes. I mean, nothing was in there, but that TBM was sitting on the ramp.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
Yeah. I'm surprised he smashed it into that little airport. I mean, I'm sure it'll do it, but it's like,
yeah.
It's a pretty, I think, what, 3,000 foot or something?
Yeah. I think 3,200.
32? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's stay at 4,500 feet and kind of head back towards Camden.
Okay.
One thing we haven't done a whole lot of is emergency procedures. So we're going to touch on those real quick.
Me and John have done those.
Oh, good. Okay. Perfect. So then you'll know what to do. We'll get a little bit closer and then we'll simulate engine failure nearby the airport, or close enough to the airport, I should say. And so I want you to walk through the process of what you need to do in the event of loss of power. What are your priorities? What needs to get done?
Okay.
Yep, and we'll do that, and then we'll talk about it once we get on the ground. But I just want you to kind of do it.
Okay.
And then we'll come into a full stop. Yeah, so we'll land. Theoretically, we're going to try and land there at Camden.
Okay.
And we can back taxi the runway if it's not busy, which doesn't look like it is. And we'll do a short field. We're at 0.8 hours. I don't know what your goal was for today, or if you had a limitation or whatever.
No,
but
no limit.
okay, so what we'll do is we'll go in there and land at the end of this in finishing the simulated engine out, and then we'll do a few short field and soft field landings and takeoffs.
Okay. You can see that runway pretty good now over there, Grand Glaze.
We're looking straight down it.
In between, yeah.
Yep.
Washington traffic, Cherokee 957.
Okay, I think you can make the airport for me?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go ahead and reduce the power nice and easy. We're bringing it all right back to idle.
All the way idle.
Okay. All the way to idle. So walk me through, even if the airborne wasn't there, we've got our landing zone established. There's no two ways about that.
Right, okay, well, first thing, best glide 65.
Okay, let's do that.
Pittsfield traffic, Bonanza Separate Del Tango is 8 miles to the southwest. Going to be entering downwind for 18. Pittsfield traffic.
And don't be afraid to trim that, because that's going to be your friend.
Traffic,
Yeah.
208 Bravo Charlie.
Then you can divert attention to doing other things, and you know the airplane's going to stay where you want it.
Okay. All right, there's 65. Pretty well trimmed.
Yeah, good. What else might you do?
Real emergency, I would go to 121.5.
Yeah, you don't have to do that now, but you could. Yeah, so before we even get into that, just how are you going to evaluate? You probably are already doing this. I'm just trying to see where your thinking is.
Well, we're really high, so you could kind of slip the airplane,
Yeah, lots of different options.
which I've never done.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, we can.
I know you can.
Yeah, so.
Tango traffic, Cherokee 4.
Yeah, just thinking through the thought process. Well, which way are we going to land? And you've already probably thought through this because we knew what the winds were earlier. But if we're not landing at the same airport we just took off from, and we're landing out in the field, we want to determine what are the winds? Like, which way am I going to land in this field? Am I going to land with a 10-knot tailwind, or am I going to put it into the wind? And so those are things that need to go through your mind.
Right.
Yes, at this point we've got lots of options to get us down. Flaps, flip. We've got nothing to keep us airborne. So what I like to teach is, especially on the runway of this length, my target point might even be the 1,000-foot markers. Like I might make that my aim point, and even if I touch down halfway down the runway, I know I can get it stopped, no problem.
Okay.